Here I have an Itel A56 motherboard. Today I'm going to be showing you how to test if your motherboard is working without having to or maybe without needing to have other parts of the phone. Like basically you have just the board and nothing else. You don't have any screens, no buttons, and nothing, no batteries. How do I know if this motherboard is working? It's simple. First I'm going to take off the fingerprint sensor. I take off the fingerprint sensor, and first thing, it's always good to do a quick visual inspection on the board. You know, it's easy to tell with your own eyes if maybe you have a mark of corrosion on the board, a burn mark, or just anything, a missing track. You can easily tell with your own eyes. So a quick visual inspection is always important. Like from now, I can see that this board is clean. It's a board that I got from somewhere around the shop, and except for this part right here, it doesn't look too good, but it's just it's a minor thing. It's just like cobwebs or something. It's nothing bad. So first, a quick visual inspection is important, and second, I always like to check the battery terminals if they are working. I always like checking the battery connector, the battery connector. And how do I do that? First, I set my multimeter to continuity mode, and I test for ground. I place the red probe on ground. You know, every big track on the board is ground or an aluminum coating. You can always use that as the ground pin. So I place the red probe on ground and I touch on the battery connectors. See, right there I have a beep. So what does that tell me? This is the ground pin of the battery connector. So if that is the ground, it means this other side is a plus pin, and I have a high value there. I have a value of about 600 to 700, though it's changing. I have a value of 600 to 700. So that's resistance. See? So, and most often we always have these dots. On most boards we'll find these other pins. They're always directly connected to the terminals of the battery connector. You keep saying terminals. They're always connected to the terminals of the to the battery connector. So I'll touch right here. I've forgotten already. This is ground. Okay, we have a beep, so that's ground. So how do I check for the ground pin on this TV? It's just a visual inspection that lets you know that these three are connected to the battery connector. On other boards, for example, like let me quickly get a board. Like on this phone, here is the battery connector. Here is the battery connector, and we have a couple of other connectors on the board. How do I check for the ground pin and the plus? No. So it has a high value, so this is the plus, so this should be ground. So if this is the plus, we'll check for continuity with one of the pins or one of the connections on the board, they always come in this form, small brown pins. So I touch on this, have a high value, high value, high value, and here I have a beep. Here I have a beep. What does it tell me? This is the plus pin of this board. This right here is the plus pin of this board. So ground, and here is a plus. So it's always easy to tell on most boards. Oh, somebody is here. So that is how you know what these little pins are for. Sometimes I call them jumper pins because I use them to jumper wires, you know. Like sometimes some of these pins are directly connected to, or are connected to the volume, power on, like volume up, volume down, and power button flex, and it has also jumper pins. From now we'll call them jumper pins, yes. So it's just as easy as that. The jumper pins, that is how you find them. So now I'm going to proceed to test this board. Like on the jumper pins, the plus pin, that is where you are going to, that's where you apply the switching on voltage on the plus jumper. First I'm going to connect ground. Where do I connect that? Every aluminum plate is ground. I'm going to connect this right here, and I'm going to set my power supply to 3.7 to 4 volts. I'm going to set that at 3.7 to 4. Alright, 3.8. That's okay. Black probe on ground, and I'm going to touch the red probe on the plus jumper. Okay, so now we know we're supplying 3.7 volts to this board. Okay, I'm missing something here. We have to locate the switch on button. How do I do that? I'm going to find which of these buttons is for switching on this phone. We have some other jumpers on the back of the board. 1, 2, 3, 4, and they are for the volume up and down and power buttons. So which one of them is the power button? Okay, let's assume it's the first, because it's always the first. From my experience, I know that this is the first is for switching on and ground. The second should be volume up, the last should be volume down. So I'll still go ahead and connect the black probe to ground. Black probe to ground, and I'll touch the red probe to the plus pin Okay, how am I going to do this? Because the buttons are on the other side of the board. I wish I had 3 hands. The power on button turned out to be the second pin. So the board is actually turning on. I can feel it hot on my fingers, and the current drawn is about 160 milliamperes. 160 is fluctuating. So I should know this phone is working if it gets to about 150 to 350 milliamperes. So I know that this board is working. Now it's at 160 milliamperes, so we are sure it's turning on and it's hot. The processor is heating up. So now I'm sure this board is working, as you can see. I'll do this more clearly. It's a little difficult to place my red probe on the plus pin and switch the board on because the terminals are on the other side of the board and I don't have 3 hands, unfortunately. So I'm going to apply a blob of solder on this joint. I'll apply a blob of solder on that plus joint, and I can easily grab it with the alligator tips. What are alligator tips? The soldering iron is not very hard, so okay. So I have a good blob of solder there. Clean it up. So I have a blob of solder where this red probe can comfortably sit on, just like that, and we carefully turn to the other side of the board where we have the switch on terminals, and I'm going to I'll touch upon the second terminal here on the second pin and ground. This pin is the power button, the second pin. So I'm going to touch up there, connect that to ground, and for a second, yes, we have 120 milliamperes, and now I think the phone is turning on. Just so you know, if this board is working properly, it should draw a current of at least 110 to 250 milliamperes. Yes, if it's actually turning on. But when it's on, it can move up right up to about 400 milliamperes. It depends on the usage of the phone. So right now I have these values and I think it's working. The board is working. Okay, I hope you enjoyed the video. Please like and subscribe to the channel for more videos, and write in the comments for any reviews. And we're going to be building a new Itel A56 from this board in the next video. We're going to be working on a new phone because I'm going to go around and look for the parts, the battery, the frame, and the back cover, the screen. So we're going to be building another phone from this board. The most important thing, the board We have it already, so we're going to do that in the next video.